Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of the Renovation and Outdoor Living Show. Yes, Friday afternoon here in New Zealand. My name is Rawdon Christie, if you haven't joined us before. The last day of July. So if you've been putting off your renovations or planting till August, you got no more excuses and a busy weekend ahead. And if you're thinking of freshening up your walls or your decks, it may be worth paying attention to today's episode, okay? But first, I want to have a quick look back at what we did on Tuesday when we covered off trees for privacy, or privacy in general, actually. We started with trees and the outdoors. Hi, Jane. Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. You're first on the button today. And also then we looked at privacy indoors. Well, Candace Kite, she's a landscaping specialist from Zones Waikato. She gave us some guidance as to what we needed to do when we're looking at creating privacy for our outdoor spaces, and the best species, the best processes. Even we looked at for creating hedges and screening, but also we looked at screens you can put up as well for that purpose. And then we looked at privacy in the home, specifically what sort of curtains and blinds are available today. Jamie Harris from Venuary joined the Venuary. Jamie Harris joined us and told us about the best options when considering the thermal, the light, and the privacy functionality of blinds, curtains, drapes, etc. Plus, of course, the aesthetic options on the market. So if you want to know anything about the privacy, indoor or outdoor, then have a look at Tuesday's episode if you didn't watch it. And then we gave away a whole lot of seeds. We've got an amazing competition to announce today, actually. Easily one of our biggest so far, so we'll get to that soon. Today, wall finishes. Now, Mark Thompson is with business development for Venetian Plaster. It's a Kiwi company. It offers the largest and purest range of lime and marble finishes in New Zealand. Their products are 100% natural. They're made from pure lime and I think it's Carrara marble, which you import directly from Italy. Mark, Carrara, is that how you say it?
Yes, yeah, it's from Tuscany.
From beautiful, so that's where you spent a lot of your months, or did till COVID, researching in Tuscany, did you? That's a hard life.
It is, yeah. Well, somebody has to do it, so.
Yeah. So, look, I guess you're the guys who come in towards the end of a renovation or a new build and just finish it off and make the walls look incredible. Is that basically what Venetian Plaster does?
That's it, yeah. It's a great alternative to tiles, wallpaper, paint, decorative stone. So what we do is the products are natural, as you mentioned. They're made from lime and marble. It comes in like a putty, and you trial it on, so it's hand applied. So it leaves about a 2 mil layer of rock, natural rock, onto a normal substrate like jib board, cement board. We can go over block. We can pretty much go on anything.
Wow. So, and is that how easy? So it's like a putty, which you say you put it on with your hand. That sounds?
No, it's with a trial, so it's hand and trial. So you just trial it on. So it leaves a beautiful finish. It's obviously polished. We have a variety of different finishes. We have textured finishes and polished plaster.
Yeah. So is it? I mean, do you have to have plastering expertise, or I mean, actually, the real question is, can you guys do it?
Yes. So we have our own team. So if you do get in contact with us, we do the whole package. So from beginning to end.
Yeah, because it's not just yet. So I guess outdoor walls, you can get away with it being maybe not entirely perfect and smooth. But a couple of those images you showed us just then, it looks like an incredibly smooth finish, almost like a marble.
Well, the classic Venetian, the subtle differences in the finishes is down to the marble grain. So if you have a very polished plaster, then obviously the marble has been crushed to a powder. And then if you have a more of a satin finish, what's called a marmorino plaster, it's a 0.7 mil marble grain. Then we have the textured finishes, which are very popular at the moment. They have 3 different sizes of marble grain. So each of those plasters will have a slightly different marble grain. And so that, along with the techniques involved in its application, will give a different finish. So you have the really classic, which is very polished, and then, as I said before, the textured ones, we use different tools to create texture, like a split stone or a concrete finish. The popular finishes at the moment are probably polished stone, so it looks like a it looks like a wall that has been there for a considerable time. And
Yeah,
we add the color to it before it's applied.
Okay, that's interesting. So the color is something additional to the texture which you're choosing, or the finish.
Yeah. So you can
So
choose from
like a dye.
Yeah, it's a tint. Yeah, it's a dye. So it's put into the plaster before it's applied. Or in this image that you've just shown, it's like a blue. We use like a decorative glaze. We don't use conventional paint. We use an iridescent glaze. We've got literally hundreds of different options in that regard. It can be quite confusing for the general public because there's so much choice.
Yeah.
So we try and sort of break it down into certain sort of finishes. So that one with the blue, it's those sort of you would say glamorous finishes that sort of pop at you. They're great for feature walls. A lot of people tend to go for more of a natural feel, like this one. Yeah. So the dye has been attached or has been put in prior to its application, so it has a more of a natural feel.
It's really clever. I've just never seen this before. I mean, how new is this product?
Venetian's been around since day one. It's been around for thousands of years. The Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, they've been doing this for many time, many years. The Italians obviously have been doing it, and the Europeans for a considerable time.
I guess what I haven't seen though is it being used in as an alternative to your paint or your tiles in a renovation.
Yeah, it is. It's popular in America and Europe, and it has sort of moved over to these parts. In Australia, it's very popular at the moment. We do work very closely with a few of the companies over there. You sort of get to know everybody within the field. In New Zealand, the last number of years, it is growing in popularity. But again, it's down to people's understanding and knowing what the alternatives are.
So Mark, if you've got somebody who's about to do a project and sees this, what we're talking about now, and they love the idea and the variety. And by the way, I wouldn't worry about the variety of colours. You go to your local paint shop now, and there are about 3,000 different. So I'm sure people can make that. But if they then go to their renovation specialist and say, "This is what I want," the process is this stuff, like this paste, comes in buckets. I mean, it looks like it's really specialised to apply.
And you don't want to have somebody that doesn't know what they're doing with it. I mean, you can apply it, okay, but it's knowing when to work the plaster, and there's certain techniques.
Yeah.
If you want the best finish, you really need to use somebody with experience. It's not a DIY. It's not a DIY material.
No, trust me. I look as though I could make a complete mess of any wall with this. How long does it take to? How long does it take to? Is it faster? Is it slow? I mean, it'll be faster than.
I think it'll be probably faster with tiles. Or most of our jobs, they don't take particularly long. I mean, it's about a week. So, if it was a bathroom, for instance, it would probably be a day's preparation, maybe 2 days, depending on how good the substrate is. And then probably a day to plaster. You can't just do half a wall and then leave it and then come back. You have to do the whole thing in one go. And then you have to come back. You've got to let the lime and marble cure for a day or so, and then you seal it with a beeswax. In showers, we can completely seal it, completely protect it in the wet area with an epoxy.
Because you mentioned bathrooms, and so as far as the waterproofing goes, it's sealed. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so you do have your waterproofing membrane in behind, which obviously builders and ourselves can sign off, and then we have a separate sign off for the wet area.
And what about floors? Because I mean, it almost looks like a concrete. Some of the images you've shown us.
Yeah, concrete's very popular, but you make it look like natural stone. Floors, we are going to be bringing in products for floors. Micro cement is getting very popular, so we can offer that as well. So you'll have maybe like a floor to wall seamless. I think seamless is the way that people are sort of moving. They don't want to see grout lines that you get in tiles.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? But okay, let's also look at the other areas where you see tiles commonly. We've talked about bathrooms. What about things like in the kitchen, the splashbacks, where tiles are really on trend?
Yeah, it can be used pretty much anywhere in in your living space. Feature walls, kitchen splashbacks. As you walk in hallways, up the stairs, big. You really want to create that grand feeling. And so if you have a normal jib wall, rather than painting it, it's kind of dull. I mean, it could be a lovely color, don't get me wrong, but when you have a Venetian plaster finish, you're layering on 2 mil of rock, so you're creating that grand wall. It'll look like a slab of rock, and it will reflect light differently as well. So there's a lot of unique qualities that lime and marble plaster has that you don't get from paint. You don't get it from tiles.
I like that shot of your office lunch bar there. Very nice. But so there's a real warmth to it as well, though, and I guess it is the warmth of that stone look.
Yeah. So in different lights during the day, at nighttime you get that really warm feeling, and obviously light does play a real key to it.
What about durability? I mean, so you talk even like the wet areas. Obviously, you've got some sort of beeswax cover, so that's about durability. I mean, again, compare it to like-minded products. Will it last as long as a really decent paint job?
Longer than that, much longer than that. Lime doesn't change a lot over a very long period of time. Lime plasters are renowned for their durability. If you go to anywhere in Europe where you see a lime plastered wall, the chances are it's been there for hundreds of years. So that's a testament to
any sort of durability, isn't it?
And obviously, with the tint added to the plaster, it'll stay the same for a very long period of time, while paints can fade. And obviously, if you go into the whole paint versus Venetian, you look at the health benefits. Paint contains VOCs. Lime doesn't. In fact, lime absorbs carbon dioxide and recycles it, so you get a nice healthy environment. You don't get any mold as well. Lime naturally has a high pH level, so you don't get any bacterial growth. You don't get mold.
Bloody hell, it's a win-win all the way, isn't it? Okay, so therefore there's got to be the catch. So I'm going to ask you the question, and that's the
There's no catch. There's no catch.
So cost-wise, is it what are you talking?
Our general rates are around 170 to 200 per square. That's for the full application. Bathrooms are a little bit more. We're around about 250. So compare to tiles.
Yeah.
If you take your standard 600 by 600 tile, it's probably going to cost you about $80 per square plus your labor. It's probably another 100. So we're around the same ballpark there. But when you move to larger format, we're saving much more. So the larger the tile, the larger the cost savings when you compare it to the Venetian. Yeah. And obviously, you bear in mind the substrate. If you have large tiles, you obviously have to have a very strong substrate, like Villa board. So that obviously costs more as well. So we can go on jib. So there's savings from every angle when you look at it that way.
Yeah, completely. It's really cool. I'm so pleased to learn a bit about Venetian plaster. And as I said to you at the beginning, I said this is obviously a new product, and you said yes, it's been around for 2,000 years. Well done, Rawdon.
Hey, well, 10,000. You could argue on the years, but yeah, I mean it's been around. So I think people now want to see seamless, contemporary walls with a bit of character that you don't get from tiles. You don't get it from paint. And things are moving in the right direction. Slowly, they are beginning to sort of trying to understand what it is.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I think it looks awesome. Mark, thank you so much for giving us some time and introducing us to the world of Venetian plaster. Really interesting stuff. There's the web address if anyone wants to get hold of Mark. Venetian www.venetianplasternz.com.
Yeah, we're based in Auckland and we're based in Christchurch. So if you want to come and see some of our displays, we're at the Home Ideas Auckland and the Home Ideas Christchurch.
Perfect, awesome. Thank you, Mark. You have a great week.
Thank you.
Good to speak to you.
Bye bye.
So that was I'm amazed. How exciting! I'm a bit disappointed that it's too hard for a DIYer because it did sound like fun slapping plaster on slapping lime and marble plaster on your wall. But maybe I won't. So there's no doubt we're left with no doubt that Venetian plaster is a pretty flexible product. But the number one wall covering still does have to be paint, I guess. And this is where Sherwin-Williams comes in, because the company was founded 150 years ago. They're a global leader in the manufacture, the development, the distribution and sale of paints, coatings, related products to everyone. They'll sell to professionals, industrial, commercial, retail, whatever you like. Now, this chap we're looking at the moment is the Rick Watson, who's the Director of Product Information and Technical Services. Now, he's been with Sherwin-Williams for more than 30 years, so there's not much he doesn't know when it comes to paints and stains. Unfortunately, he's based in the US state of Ohio, where it's probably about 10 or 11 at night right now. So I was able to catch up with him a wee bit earlier to get some advice on how his company's products can help make our outdoor areas in particular look spectacular. Good afternoon, Rick. Great to see you, and thanks for giving us some time all the way from Cleveland. First of all, though, can you give us because Sherwin-Williams, as I just mentioned, is this massive company with 150 years history. What sort of brands on our side of the world would we know that we could associate that have come to us from Sherwin-Williams?
Well, some of the brands, well, thank you first and foremost for having me on your show. So some of the brands that you may be aware of are Valspar and Wattyl that you might find in your facilities called Miter 10, or we call them big boxes, Miter 10. That's where you would find those products.
Yeah. So big brands, and so what? It's also weird here because you're in the middle of summer, we're in the middle of winter down here, and we're talking about exterior repaints. So I mean, we're in the cold, we're in the dark, we're in the rain, we're in the ice. Maybe is this a time? I mean, should we even be considering repainting the outside of our houses?
Well, it depends on what your winter's like. As you know, we were talking about Fiji. Their winter is 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, that's the coldest. But it really depends on what your temperatures are. We have products, and we can talk about one of them. We have a product that actually will go down to 2 degrees Celsius in your Celsius terms, all the way up to 49 degrees Celsius, or in Fahrenheit, it's 35 up to 120. So, if it's cold outside, it's 35 degrees or 2 degrees Celsius, you can still paint. So, you have opportunities with a lot of different products that we have that can actually go down lower temperatures without any problems.
So do you guys do a lot of the R&D as well? I mean, you're based in Ohio. Is that where it all happens? And part of the R&D is creating products which are flexible with time of year and conditions?
Yes. I mean, just like you, we have all of our seasons, spring, summer, winter, and fall. So, we have to have products that you can almost paint year round with. But yes, our Breen Technical Center is here in downtown in Cleveland, just right down the street from our headquarters. So that's where all of our research really happens.
And I imagine that this is quite a big part of the research, is it, to make sure that you can be as adaptable as possible, given the fact you're a global company?
You bet. And again, I mean, we're selling all the way from Canada, cold temperatures, all the way down to Arizona, that's very hot temperatures, and basically everything in between from the East Coast to West Coast. We even sell in more than 100 countries throughout the world. So, we're dealing with all different climates and all different temperatures and all different moisture levels as well. So, yeah, we need to make sure that we do research on all those different climates for exterior type painting.
Let's talk about a product which we saw just now come up, and I think it was called Flex Temp. So this is we'll see if we can bring it up now. So that's obviously about being flexible. Talk me through Flex Temp.
Yeah, well, Flex Temp, that's one of the things that we just talked about as far as going from like 2 degrees Celsius all the way up to 49 degrees. In the Fahrenheit, again, 35 up to 120. Typically a standard type coating is going to go from 10 to 32. And, in that, that's great temperatures. But normally, when you're going into those lower temperatures, the product actually starts getting more viscous or gets thick. Then you get up to those higher temperatures, then those products, the viscosity of them get a little bit thinner. So with Flex Temp, we've designed this with extreme temp technology. And what that means is whether it's 35 degrees or all the way up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, the viscosity does not change. So when you're painting, you're still going to get that nice flow and leveling that you had with normal paints. And, it's a lot better when you're looking at, that viscosity change on conventional. Typically, people add more additives to it to get it to flow and level. Well, with FlexTemp, you don't need any additives. It's all set and it's ready to go. You don't even change your application techniques. You get that same nice flow and leveling, whether you're at 2 degrees up to 49.
Well, that's brilliant, isn't it? So what about the, I presume then the drying time is altered, but as far as the key there is the application, which is what we really care about at this stage. Tell me about Emerald. This is another product which called my Emerald Rain Refresh. Tell me about this.
Well, Emerald Rain Refresh, again, this is another brand new product that we've launched. We call this the self-cleaning technology. And what is self-cleaning technology? I'll make sure we tell you about that. Basically, that self-cleaning technology is a technology where if dirt gets on the surface, rainwater or garden hose water, if you squirt on there with a pump-up spray or whatever, will actually shed right off of the surface. Normal or conventional type coatings, typically that paint film, if you get dirt, grease, grime, stuff on there, it'll actually, if you can see, it'll actually kind of penetrate into the pores of the paint film, and then it will stain them. Well, with Emerald being that non-porous type film, it sits on the surface. When the rain hits it, it actually washes it down, and it looks like brand new from the first time that you painted it.
That's brilliant, isn't it? So you can give that. So when you do the house wash, it's going to, as you say, it's going to look brand new. What's your sort of time? And I guess this is probably a bit climate dependent. But if you're in a climate of, let's say, winter is about your 8 degrees Celsius, summer might go up to 30 degrees or whatever. How long do you think a paint job on a house using this sort of product would last?
Well, again, depending upon preparation, depending upon what's existing paints that are on there, many, many years. If you're painting a brand new home with wood siding, let's say, and you're putting 2 coats on there, you probably won't have to paint that home again. But it's all about the preparation. If you have poor preparation, you don't wash and you don't clean, you get what you pay for. So you can use a very expensive gallon of paint, but if that prep isn't done, you're going to be looking at blistering and peeling potentially. So.
Yeah, interesting what you said there, Rick, because actually that could be another advantage of the Rain Refresh is that if it stays that much cleaner, it's going to be that much easier to paint over when you want to do your new coat. But I want to move to the deck now because this is the time of year we're all looking at our great decks in the rain and we're beginning to think about freshening them up for winter. First thing, would you recommend staining a deck every year? Or is it more economic to do it regularly or just to do it once every 3 years or so?
Well, me, if I can get by with every 3 years, I'm good to go for that. That's one of the things that I talk about when we're working with decks and things like that. It's you got to have the time, you've got to have the tools, you have to do the prep, and you have to have patience. What we forget about is this is an actual horizontal substrate that we're walking on. We're putting furniture on. We're using our grills outside. In our area, we get snow sitting on this, 3 or 4 months out of the year. It gets rained on. So, there's a lot of things to consider when you're doing decks, whether it be every other year, refreshing it once a year. If I don't have to refresh it once a year, I'm good with that. Every 3 to 4 years, that's about where that's about where you'd like to be.
And you guys have products which you develop with the aim of lasting that long?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we've created waterborne type coatings, like semi-transparent type coatings. What you see there on the screen, Super Deck. That what we want them to do is we want them actually to penetrate into the wood and not necessarily sit on top of the surface. So what happens when you have a product that sits on top of the surface? That becomes your wear layer. And obviously it's going to wear away. But also sometimes when you get snow and ice and everything built up, that's the layer that tends to peel off. So we've created products that will actually penetrate deeper into the wood so that they actually wear and not necessarily peel off. That's the key to decks.
What about the look, though? Do we just have to accept that, when you do your deck, they just look so incredible. I know it's always disappointing when you turn around and they've gone gray again.
Well, if you're putting clears on, you've got that nice honeycomb look. It's just beautiful. You put a clear on, and in 6 months already you have graying. Well, that's the UV that's breaking down the wood. If you want that ever so slightly hint of color, then I would be looking at transparent finishes. They're not clears, but they're not semi-transparent either. They're really, you can see right through them, but it gives you a little bit of UV resistance with some of the colorant that is added to that. So your wood doesn't gray as quick.
Yeah, good advice. Finally, what would be your key? You talk about obviously prep is key with all of these jobs, but when it comes to decks, what are the key things you've got to think about when you're prepping it? Is it just about cleaning it, or do you have to do you have to sand it down? I mean, how much prep should you have to do?
It depends on how long you want it to last.
Yeah.
So, here's how I look at it on my own deck. I'm going to go in and actually remove existing like semi-transparent stains that are already on there. Some of those are built with water repellents built into them. So if you try to put another semi-transparent over top of that, that's sometimes where you have blistering and peeling occur. You don't want that. So, every 2 to 3 years, you may have to come in and strip that deck. Then we have a product called Revive that takes that wood and brings it back to its natural state. And again, this is a step that most people don't realize is obviously the wood's dead. However, but you get that gray layer on top. That's a layer that the stain will stick onto and not necessarily on that honeycomb real wood. So if you can get that gray layer off by sanding or by using a product called Revive, that will take that off, bring it back to its natural honeycomb state and color, and then go back in with a semi-transparent. That would be awesome.
Brilliant. And I love the fact that you've created a product which is saving me having to sand it. Already I'm sold on that one. So that's the Revive product. Brilliant. Hey, Rick, look, we could talk for hours because there is so much product range which you guys at Sherwin-Williams are developing. And we've only really scratched the surface of it. But I am aware of the fact that it's evening time in Ohio. And so I've got to let you go because it's summertime as well. You've probably got a barbecue to get to or something. But thank you very much for your time. It's much appreciated. And we'll have another chat sometime soon.
I would love to come back on again. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and one day maybe you'll be allowed to travel here. Who knows?
Well, hopefully so.
Hey, best of luck. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So there we have it. That was Rick Watson from Sherwin-Williams from his home base, from the home base of Sherwin-Williams in Cleveland in Ohio. And as you can see, I was wearing a different shirt in a different part of the house at the time, and then I got cold, so I put a jersey on. Now, before we get to the top 10, a new competition I mentioned earlier. This is one of our biggest yet, and this is what you can win. It's called a Cry-Cut Maker. I'd never even heard of this. I'm ignorant about a lot of things today. Now, the Cry-Cut Maker, it's a smart computer-controlled cutting machine that basically makes you helps you make professional-looking DIY projects. So it has a suite of tools. They allow you to cut, score, write, and add decorative effects so that you can take on any project you like. It's apparently as easy as designing a project on your laptop or your smartphone on their software, on Cry-Cut software. It's called Design Space. And then a few clicks later, your maker machine will cut, score, draw, engrave, emboss your design, and out it comes. Possibilities endless. with the ability to create everything from party or wedding decor, home design, accessories, personalized apparel, and more. Here are some good examples. You can upgrade your tiles, give them a fresh look with vinyl decals. Okay, you can give your furniture a new look of life. Upcycle your furniture, which with the design space. And again, you add the decals to it. Stencils and paint. Afraid of the paintbrush when it comes to intricate patterns? Use this Cricut machine. Helps you cut the stencils for loads of intricate patterns, and organize. Given its ability to design bespoke labels, Cricut's become super popular with organization enthusiasts, especially when it comes to organizing the pantry. That's a clue for you. Now, Cricut Maker, a clue, a bit of guidance. As you saw at the beginning, it's a recommended retail of $700, $699, $700 worth from Spotlight Warehouse Stationery Imagery. And to win it, I am going to tell you how you can win it next time, because I'll tell you what, why don't you like the page? And I've completely forgotten how you can win this. Like the page and tell me what project you would like to use it for. Okay, we'll make that the question. I don't know if it's the right question, but it is now. So like the page on Facebook and tell us what you would use the Cricut Maker for, what project you would apply it to. But it sounds. Oh, here you go. Tell us how you plan to use the Cricut Maker machine. Okay, we'll be drawing that probably in a couple. We'll give you a couple of weeks to be able to get your entries in on that. Now. Finally today, Friday top 10. Today I wanted to look at funny ad fails, okay? The top 10 funny ad fails. And at number 10, here you go, heart problems for $3. So on the left, you've got the ad, 1 in 3 people in Louisiana will die from heart disease, but that's okay because Burger King is advertising 2 croissant wedge for $3 on the other billboard. Number 9. This is a YouTube ad placement fail. As you can see, this is a news article about the Italian liner which went under, but there's a cruise vacation, 75% off advert underneath. Well done, YouTube. Number 8. Well, if you want to fly Turkish Airlines, that's such a lack of planning. That's outstanding. I'm laughing at my own jokes now. Number 7. This is an ad placement gone wrong. It's a bit like the Burger King. Dollar menu. Diabetes, straight ahead. At number 6, okay, this is Mitchell's Wholesale Providores or Mitchell's, well, you can read for yourself. Fail on the door decals there. At number 5, it's the Walking Dead billboard next to the Cooperative Funeral Care. Great series that. I love Walking Dead. Number 4, the knitwear and socks. I don't really understand how this works, but anyway, it caught my eye and it had to make it in there. Number 3, this is going back to those church signs. This is a rather unfortunate ad placement for its Bible camp. Come, join the fun. Number 2 of our top 10 this week, baby needs beers and wines. Excellent. Well done to that supermarket. That may well have been a tired mum who put that up. And our number 1 top ad fail in our top 10 for this Friday is the Starbucks sliding door. It's just difficult to always think ahead, isn't it? Anyway, there's your top 10 today. It's been really good to have a chat with you. We've run way over time. We'll see you again on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.